Hey, fellows, I just got another result with this exact same deck list, and I realized, yes, it is card for card the same list as I did it with last time, but I figured this time I wanted to talk more on the in-depth decision making, how I feel about the deck, and options that you should take going forward, especially since I didn't go through a lot of that in my last video. Now, as for options going forward, it's pretty clear how I feel about the list, right? I think it's almost perfect down to the last card. And by almost perfect, I mean just good enough that I don't want to change it, and not bad enough that I want to test for new lists, right? But we can go over the general overview of the deck. The number one thing about this list is that fundamentally it is a list that when you go second, you need to draw a certain card. You need to either draw Fua, Perulia, or Heavy Poly, basically. Yeah, sometimes Droplet or a Fallen in the Virtuous also works. You need to draw one of these 5 cards to sit there while going second and think, wow, I can win this game. Otherwise, it just becomes kind of sketch, right? Every deck in the game nowadays ends on like 3 Omnis. The stupid new maze stuff makes it so that the Yummy deck ends on the Ilia Sylvia, the Dragoon, and maybe Zaylin if they're feeling really adventurous about it. And it's just a lot of decks do so much that you need a way to stop them from doing so much. The number one way is the Charmies, which is why I think most of my lists have 6 or more Charmies in the main, right? Because when I go second, I don't want to rely on 2 card combos. I want to rely on 1 card combos. Each of these is a 1 card way to stop your opponent from making a big board. And if your opponent makes a half board, you win. That's the premise of Lunalight, right? If they make a half board, you kill them. Your interaction is so wildly good at playing into boards. Your engine pieces are so good at playing into boards that you just want more of those engine pieces. And as soon as you see more, as long as your opponent doesn't make a big board because they are afraid of the breakers that will come for them, they lose. And with that being said, right, that being the whole theory behind the deck, let's get get deeper into why that theory works so well. That theory works so well because fundamentally the problem with Lunalight is you can't play 21 hand traps. And I think if you are playing anything less than like 18 to 21 hand traps are not worth playing. You have to draw 2 of them. You have to draw 2 of them in a specific sequence. When you top deck them, it feels bad. You have to draw 2 unique hand traps. The problem with hand traps is unless you can guarantee you are drawing a ton of them and those are unique, you are just putting so much variance into how you play. Right? If I draw 2 Fuas, it doesn't feel bad. If I draw 2 Heavy Polys, it feels great. I Heavy Poly them once, they negated, I Heavy Poly them again. But if I draw 2 Ashes, it never feels good because I Ash their Cupsy, they have Surprise anyways, and they go full combo, right? And that's the problem with hand traps nowadays. When every Yu-Gi-Oh card is an extender and a starter and also full combo, and also if you stop it, it does nothing to the end board, and also this deck has no choke points, it feels bad playing cards that fundamentally remove half a card from your opponent's hand. Cupsy plays through 2 hand traps, right? Diabellstar plays through 2 hand traps. I don't think Diabellstar is a good card, but it's like Wanted almost plays through 2 hand traps as long as one of those isn't Ash. It just feels so bad to play hand traps, especially when you can't play 21 of them. And let's on that note, I guess let's get into why we can't play 21 of them. Let's talk a bit more about the deck building decisions. Starting off, you need to play 2 Black Sheep because 2 is fundamental to one of the combos where you Black Sheep search Poly and then Black Sheep grab a guy from grave. 2 is also really good because that comes up a lot when going second. One of the Black Sheeps has to do combo and the other one has to grab one of these guys from grave. When your actions aren't as telegraphed, like they aren't just your 1 card you're normally going through, the second Black Sheep comes in way too often. It comes up on the 3rd turn, which really matters, as we'll get into in a moment with Silverhound. And this is like kind of the same theory that goes behind Emerald Bird. Emerald Bird just really makes your combos more resilient. It makes it so that Masquerade and Foolish have something else to send, right? If you have a Masquerade and you've already gone through your Silverhound, you want something else to send that has high value. That's Emerald Bird. 3 gold, Leo, this is just the most valuable card in your deck. It's the best starter. It's the best everything. It does everything. 2 Kaleido, mostly because if the second one gets banished, you're kind of screwed, and you need 1 in rotation anyways, so drawing it isn't bad. 2 Silverhound, because the first one you need to combo, and the second one is for the turn 3, right? The problem with Lunalight right now is that a lot of decks can get you to turn 3, and if you don't have follow-up, they're just going to stall you out. And if they stall you out, you lose the game. Like if Yummy just keeps summoning 5 bodies and going for attacks each turn, you're going to run out of names so fast when trying to stop them, and they're just going to kill you. Once Yellow Marten, just because this card isn't great in your hand, it's not individually super great. It doesn't do as much as like a Silverhound would, and Yellow Marten itself, just doesn't do enough, but you do need one because it's absurdly good off of like Gold Leo to grab Lunalight Fusion. You just don't ever want to draw too many of this card, basically. 3 Fractal, this is a fantastic starter. It plays through Droll. It's just a starter that plays around MST, which is really good this format. And it's another unique card in your hand that does something different, right? I will say the only problem with Fractal is that you are usually sending Silverhound so early in the combo that you don't have any use for Fractal. And Fractal doesn't do anything beyond sending Silverhound for the most part. Like, you can send Tiger, but that just doesn't do that much most of the time. So it's a good starter, but if your opponents stop interacting with it and start interacting with Silverhound, it kind of gets annoying. Tiger and Wolf are like the best cards in this deck. They do a lot. They combo for you. They play through boards. They're just everything. We're playing 2 Tanky, 1 Foolish, and 2 Masquerade as our other cards. Tanky and Masquerade have been cut down in this specific build just because there's a lot of like continuous spell removal in the format right now, especially in the forms of MST and Fallen and the Virtuous, and it feels really bad to play 3 of each. Foolish is just a good card. I would probably play 3 of this over 3 Fractal if I could. It is limited because it can send both Yellow Marten and Silverhound. It's just a good generic extender, and it's one of those cards that when you play it first action, your opponent still doesn't know what you're doing, right? They might ash it. 2 Perfume, you can't side this out either is the problem because 2 just makes it so that combos where you open Perfume and you get interacted with, you have a lot more resilience in in the Perfume Dancer, grabbing another Perfume. And it's the same case for going second, especially when you only have Engine going second. It's really nice to open a Perfume and still be able to add a second Perfume. It's also just not a bad card. You can send it off Droplet if you have nothing else to do. Lunalight Fusion is your searchable heavy poly. Basically, it's a way to break boards in the deck. Poly exists because it is an engine requirement. There's really no better card than Poly is the unfortunate thing. So, Pot of Prosperity is the 41st card in this deck. It's just nice to have for consistency reasons, especially since you're already on the Fallen and the Virtuous stuff. You have 3 free banishes for Prosby at any point in time. And they're basically inconsequential banishes, because when you Prosby banish these 3, you don't have Fallen and the Virtuous, right? 3 Droplet is just a really good card this format. It dodges a lot of the random stuff in the format, like Dragoon, Ilia Sylvia, kind of. Just deals with the rogue really efficiently, and it's pretty good against top meta too. Radiant Typhoon and Draco Tail both have a rough time against this card in Heavy Poly or this card in a Lunalight Fusion, right? All 6 Charmies, I try not to play any less than 6 Charmies, just because when you go second, you want to draw the 1 card that stops your opponent, right? And these are the 1 cards that stop your opponent. Well, they don't stop them. They make a half board, and in this deck, a half board is stopping them, right? Heavy Poly, I've heard people cutting Heavy Poly. I just don't think it's a great idea. It's not great going first, but your deck usually wins going first anyways. The going first games that you do not win are when you just get sacked out of the wazoo by like a yummy player. And look, those are just going to happen, man. You can't play Engine over Heavy Poly or hand traps over Heavy Poly just because you're going to get sacked out of the wazoo sometimes. Heavy Poly will do the sacking most of the time, right? So you might as well play it. It's also one of those cards that requires interaction. Like, sometimes you will not have the name in hand for Heavy Poly to do the Liger, but your opponent will still be forced to flame it because if you do, they're dead, and they would rather take the chance that you do than you don't. Moving on to the extra, it's pretty standard. You have 3 Fallen and the Virtuous targets. I think these 3 are mandatory. This is cuttable, but that's about it. 2 Leo Dancer is fine. 2 Liger is fine. 1 Panther, again, for when you need to Heavy Poly, when you need them to interact with Heavy Poly while you don't have a card in hand. You can also just make Leo sometimes. It's just we. Still 7,000 damage, right? Liger's a pretty good card. Panther's pretty good. Perfume Dancer, you need 2 of them just because 1, you need names, and 2, if you banish 1 for Heavy Poly, you need a second one, and 3, if you banish 2 for Heavy Poly, that's the only way you're getting to Liger with just one of these suckers. All of these XEs are mandatory. Dugari's is used in the draw line, Baguska is Baguska, and Tiger King is used in like every other line in this deck. And Cross Sheep is used for your super safe lines in this deck. I think this could be Ptolemy, but I have no idea, and I don't want to think about it too much. Cross Sheep is also a really nice card because as soon as the Cross Sheep comes on the field, your opponents know they're screwed, right? Like, if there's a Liger and a Cross Sheep pointing to it, they're like, I should concede. There's nothing else for me to do. And that's just really, really helpful for long tournaments. And well, what can I say? SP is SP. Also, sometimes Cross Sheep is nice for you when you just need bodies off of the board, right? Going on to the side deck, there's 3 Ash and 3 Impulse. 3 Ashes for going first, just because post-side, the Charmies get more annoying when they have more hand traps in their deck. When they have Retalsies in their deck. When they have Lanceas in their deck, the Charmies get more annoying. When they didn't have those, you can just kind of ignore the Charmies. But when they do, it's irritating, right? Dominus Impulse is in here for the Dracotel matchup. You just want to stop Titanic Cloud from hitting the field, and this is a good way to do that. This is also pretty good going second against Vanquish Soul Canine, just because the trap burns for 1800, and that's kind of annoying, so being able to stop that is really nice. Masquerade is like the 8th best going first card. No, it's pretty good going first, so you sided in going first, especially since there's only 2 in the main, and you're not really scared of MST going first. These 3 are just free agent cards. These are very good into most matchups. These go in against Yummy, since most of your deck is already going second oriented anyways. It makes siding patterns super easy too. You just take 3 engine out, 1, 2, 3, and then you put these 3 in, right? Very, very, very simple. There's an argument that among these should be Illusion Gate, the new card for Maze. But 1, I don't own Illusion Gate. 2, I have not tested with Illusion Gate. 3, I'm still deathly afraid of Radiant Typhoon, which Illusion Gate does very little against. So, 2 Black Goat could probably be 1, but Black Goat is just a really nice card to draw when you're going first in this deck, right? Because if you draw Black Goat, then suddenly you're less afraid of all of the outs that could happen. You're less afraid of Transverser. You're less afraid of Great Fly or Bamboozling Gossip Shadow or Lava Golem or the ridiculous Kaijus that people are playing. It's just a nice card to have. Talents and Called By are in here because you need to side out 9 cards going first. And they're kind of the two best cards for doing that. And finally, ALEMBERTIAN is the way to stop the way that people are stopping Lunalight, right? People stop Lunalight by playing ridiculous cards like Bamboozling Gossip Shadow, by playing cards like Lava Golem. And while you could argue that into cards like Lava Golem and Sphere Mode, you could just end on 1 Liger, especially against Radiant Typhoon, I just don't want to do that, right? If I end on 1 Liger, they can like Procia stall me out, which is just annoying. It takes brain power. I would rather just slam an ALEMBERTIAN on the board and call it a day. And especially as people are moving more towards breakers, ALEMBERTIAN is kind of nice. If they start moving away from that into hand traps, this should arguably be something else. But for now, I kind of like it there. And so as a whole, the deck is good. I wouldn't change a single thing about it, mostly because I just don't have enough testing with this deck right now in post-Maze to say anything. I don't know what's good against like the Maze decks. But I do think this is the best way to play it. I think every hand I've drawn with this deck has felt winnable in some way, shape, or form until Yummy hits me with 4 hand traps and then normal Cupsy. I think every Yummy player needs to be investigated for how they're opening Cupsy every game, but you know, that's just me. 4 hand traps plus Cupsy, theoretically, that's like a 5% chance or something. They keep doing it, and it's not a 5% chance, it's like a 10% chance, but yeah. So, with that being said, we can take a look at the ALEMBERTIAN combo here. Ooh. So, you can do this when you start Gold Leo plus Black Sheep or Gold Leo plus Silverhound. Or, I think Gold Leo plus Yellow Marten works too. I just haven't bothered to figure it out. The combo is super simple. You just go through your standard lines, except instead of sending Black Sheep, you send Yellow Marten, just because you want Masquerade access for the name for this line. You Black Sheep, add back Yellow Marten. You're trying to bait out a Bell here, basically. And then you Black Sheep at Poly. At this point, you've basically passed through every hand trap checkpoint. So we can just kind of combo off. Do a whole bunch of things, activate our Chainlink 5. Interestingly here, we're not going for the Perfume Surge Wolf line, which is safer because we already checked for a couple things early there. Late Nib might hurt a bit in this line, but I don't think Nib is being played enough for that to be a big consideration, especially not against our deck, right? So instead of doing that, our Perfume will be adding the Tiger because we need the level 4 bodies, and then we will be doing the Kaleidos and we'll make rank 4 set Tenki, add Black Sheep, add back Wolf line, right? So we just go and go and go and go and go and go. That's basically how playing Lunalight feels half the time. Poly's a free discard, though, which is nice. This Tiger can bring back anything here. It doesn't matter. We just bounce the Tiger back for an extra body, and then we do the really funny thing to watch in person, which is Kaleido send Kaleido. Then Yellow Marten bounce the Tiger, and then Tiger send Kaleido. sorry, Tiger, bring back Kaleido. Kaleido, get this guy. Go, boom, pretend like the Dugaris is an ALEMBERTIAN here because I'm a bad player and I didn't bother redoing this combo. It's a long combo, okay? And pretend like that heavy poly is a blackout. I'm setting it for visual effect here. Don't actually set it in the game. That's a bad thing to do. You don't have a zone to activate poly in. But anyhow, then you poly again. Make another Liger, make an SP. You get to do the funny thing here, which is SP banish itself, just because against Radiant Typhoon specifically, I am a paranoid man who does not want to get sphere moded. And that alone kind of does it there, right? As long as you're able to do exactly that, you are able to do the combo, and you play around Sphere Mode and Lava Golem, the two cards that like people are really teching in against Lunalight per se, right? And that is inevitably the cycle of Lunalight, right? People tech against it, it's bad. People don't tech against it, it's good. People tech against it, it's bad. Lunalight is the forever deck because Heavy Poly is a broken card that will never be stopped in any format and never exists in a state in which it can't be played. That being said, I think the deck is fine right now, especially since ALEMBERTIAN can kind of stop that wave, flattened out a bit in the areas where like the lows are really low, just make those less low per se. So in general, I feel that the deck is not bad. Would I play it again? Probably. So yeah, that's about it. Would I play this deck again? Absolutely. I think the deck is pretty good right now. I will see you guys next regional.